It's totally plausible.
This is a plausible ghost cat.
Guys, if you could leave one meow in the comments. What one meow is one ghost cat. Hello, theologisters, sisters, and misters.
Welcome to the coven.
Guess who compiled a couple more r/paranormal stories?
It was me. I did it.
No, it wasn't. Don't lie to them. Why are you lying to them? It was me, and you know it.
I'm trying to sweeten them up a little bit so that they'll like me more.
Everybody knows that I do all of the work and that you're just the cool one.
Everyone knows that I'm the cool one who does all the work, and I'm the favorite.
Wow. Why am I even here then?
I know, right? Get out. This is my podcast.
You want to read the stories?
Yes, I do.
You actually?
No, I don't. I don't have them.
I could send them to you.
Fuck off. You read them.
Oh god. All right, you want to jump in then?
Yeah, well, you jump in because you're the one with the story.
I'm jumping, Arthur. I am jumping. Our first story comes from Nevi Navan Darkmoor, and it is called White Shadow People.
Your name is edgy.
It really.
White shadow people. All right.
Yeah. This is something I used to experience a lot as a child, but haven't since. Seeing the posts about shadow people made me think of when I was younger, and I'd see white shadows run outside my window. They were like shadows, but instead of black, they were white. I'd run outside, but I never saw them. As I said, I haven't seen them in a very long time, but I haven't been able to find anything out about them. Were they aliens or ghosts? Were they the possible reasons for hearing my name being called when no one else was around? Has anyone else seen white shadow people?
What was your childhood like? This doesn't sound like paranormal. This sounds like trauma.
Does it really sound like trauma to you?
This sounds a lot more like trauma.
Oof. That's an oof.
Yeah.
Okay, so whenever you've described shadow people, they've always been like black, inky, wispy, kind of figures. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's possible to have a white shadow person, or would that just be a ghost?
That would just be a ghost, and they wouldn't be a shadow person. It doesn't sound like it could legitimately be a thing at all.
Right, but if it were, it's probably not a shadow person.
It's not a shadow person, especially running around.
Yeah.
Shadow people generally tend to stay in one spot, and that's how you notice them.
Right,
They're there. What is this giant, lanky creature? This is not even a human. It looks like a human, but it's not.
So what are you going to rate this one?
I don't think it's paranormal at all, honestly.
You're going to give it a 0 spooks?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 0 spooks and maybe some therapy.
I definitely don't think it's shadow people in that case, but I could maybe see it as being a ghost. I'm going to give it a 2 spooks out of 10.
Why 2 spooks?
Because I guess I don't have enough context, because they did say that they saw the light or the white shadows outside of their window. It could just be like the light of like a car passing by. I don't have enough context to know for sure. It could be a lot of things.
When I was little, I used to want to make up that like the lights passing by was something spooky or cool looking, like,
Yes.
I needed an explanation for something. I'd be like, why are the lights on the ceiling? That's creepy.
So yeah, I'm going to give it a 2. There's like a 20% chance it could be something, but most likely it was either, like headlights, or just like general hallucination as a kid, seeing things that aren't actually there, convincing yourself that you actually saw them. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 2.
I'm going to keep it at a 0.
Valid.
Maybe a tentative 1.
You want to move into the next one?
Yes.
Oh, I love this username. This is by user Barbecue Tofu Jerky.
Ah, much better. I really love them already.
This is called The Ghost Cat Living in My Closet.
What the fuck?
I had a feeling you were going to like this one.
This sounds interesting.
Okay. It goes, I just moved out of this place that a ghost cat lives in. This apartment has many ghosts, but one of them has all of the mannerisms of a cat. Nonstop, I'd see a blur out the corner of my eye and expect to see my cat hopping from one place to another, but when I look up, my cat is nowhere to be found. She'll often be behind a closed door in another room. Sometimes I hear little cat feet landing on the floor, but again, when I look up, no cats. After a while of living in this place, I started to doubt myself. I'd blame it on tricks of the light, or maybe my hair was just in my eyes. I can come up with many excuses, but I still felt this ghost cat's presence, and sometimes I dream about it. In my dreams, once or twice, she showed herself to me too. She'd always come out of the closet and then wander down the hallway. I almost feel bad using haunted as my flair because this cat was just so peaceful, always just trying to hop off tall things and sit in sunbeams like God intended. Anyway, I moved out of this apartment a while ago. Now, every time I think I see something out of the corner of my eye and look up expecting to see nothing, my cat is actually there.
Huh.
I really love sit in the sunbeams like God intended.
That really is. I want that like painted on something,
I want
or
that
like
I want that painted on me.
yeah, maybe we can get like a shirt that just says like "sit in the sunbeams like God intended."
I feel like I'd have to like give them a cut of that that
I mean,
commission.
they have to find us first, don't they?
um, so I find this one really interesting because they compare this experience to a separate experience, one where they thought it was normal, where, nothing was there, and then one where they thought it could be something more and it was just their normal cat. I find that
Hmm.
very interesting, juxtaposing those two experiences, because it shows that they're able to identify, for the most part at least, like that. It's not like this happens to them everywhere. They have a sense of what can happen and like the reality, and then they have like the separate experience that they can compare that to.
Yeah.
So for me, I guess, okay, I want to ask one question. I know there can be ghosts of pets, right?
No, not at all.
No?
Yes. Yes,
Yes?
they can
I was
be.
about to say,
The shocked no was what I was looking for, though,
ah,
and you did not disappoint.
you're welcome. I'm glad I could deliver on that for you.
No?
No? I always thought they could. Uh, so, I mean, it's not far fetched to say if this was an apartment, a cat totally could have died there. I
It's
mean,
not even unlikely.
it's very likely that someone at some point, in that
Cats
apartment
are
had a cat,
Yeah,
you know?
cats are popular pets, and sometimes they die.
So, I mean, it's not like the setting is far fetched to me at all. Obviously, like, at least with your understanding that ghost cats are definitely a possibility. So, I mean, I think what's more compelling to me is the fact that this person has that juxtaposition of, the quote unquote normal experience versus what they believe to be the paranormal experience, and compare and contrast those two and find differences. Like, you could live in a house, all your life. And like maybe you always saw, the lights flickering, but you knew what caused it, and then you go into another house and the lights are flickering and there's no cause. Like you have something to compare. Well, I know what it's like when it's normal. So what's this? So I think I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Just because it really could go either way. I'm going to be at a solid 50%.
For Ghost Cat, I'm gonna give Ghost Cat a 5 out of 10.
Wow, copycat.
Yeah, I want to be a copycat today.
Copycat for Ghost Cat,
But, like, it really could go either way.
right?
But I don't think it's absolutely 100% a yes, but I absolutely don't think it's a no.
Right. Like it really could be it's totally plausible.
This is a plausible Ghost Cat.
There's really no way of knowing.
Unless you are that person's Ghost Cat.
Let us know.
Send us a meow.
One guys, if you could leave one meow in the comments. One meow is one ghost cat.
One meow is good, one Ghost Cat.
Okay, next story is by user totally awry 132. This one is called 2-year-old son seems to get visits from his long deceased grandmas.
Oh, I've had these before.
This one's a little bit of a longer one. Okay. I have 2 short stories for you of the creepy/sweet variety. One, A couple weeks ago, my son and I were visiting my grandparents' house and staying in the guest bedroom. This bedroom has a wall hanging of the Serenity Prayer. My son had been taking a nap when I heard him giggling and chattering away to Grandma Lele. This in and of itself isn't unusual. 2-year-olds talk to themselves or pretend characters all the time. I went to get him, and while I'm changing his diapers, he points to the wall hanging and says, "A toddler's approximation of the prayer. Grant me cannot change. Courage. Wow, wow, this is hard. Oh, it's because it's written in baby speak.
Oh.
It's like courage. Instead of wisdom, it says widom.
Oh my god. Okay, read it like baby Emma.
Grant me cannot change. Courage change I can. Widom know the difference.
What the fuck
Uh,
does that mean?
I don't know, but apparently it was the toddler's approximation of the prayer. I hope I did it justice.
Okay.
uh, Imagine you walk into a room and you just hear this like toddler just all of a sudden out of nowhere start like reciting Bible verses.
What was the Bible prayer thing? What was it?
It was called Serenity Prayer.
Serenity prayer. Courage to change things I can, and wisdom to know the difference forever and ever in the next.
Yeah, there you go. So I guess the idea behind this is that this kid was like somehow told this prayer while, still being at the age of illiteracy.
Yeah, because he can't read that.
Right. So they continue. I verified with my grandparents and husband and mom that no one had told him the prayer to their knowledge. He still says it out of the blue from time to time. I later learned from my mom that my sweet great grandma Olena passed away in that back bedroom. I'm not sure if she embroidered that prayer, but it was apparently one of her favorites. She loved kids and was a kindergarten teacher. It would be totally in her character to pay a playful visit to her first great great grandchild. Second, this morning, they woke up and asked if we could go to Grandma Bessie's house. My husband's Grandma Bessie died decades ago. I don't know very much about her other than she was a nurse and had a signature creamed corn recipe. The family doesn't talk about her very much. However, my husband was sufficiently freaked out that he texted his dad about it, and I decided maybe it was time to share my creepy kid with Reddit. To give a little context about our family, my husband and I and our families of origin are extremely non religious and are generally not believers in the paranormal. We don't pray or talk about ghosts, angels, relatives visiting us. The people my son visits with died over 25 years ago when my husband and I were both very, very young. We and our parents can't recall a time that we've had discussed these people recently, let alone in front of my son. So basically the full context here is that this little boy, toddler age, knows the existence of his like great grandparents, like even though nobody has ever talked about them. What do you think of that? I thought this one was really interesting. I always find the ones with kids more compelling. Not like if you were a kid and now you're telling the story as an adult, but just like being an adult and walking in on your kid doing something fucking creepy as shit. Like that to me is more compelling because where would they learn that? How would they know that? They only know what they have been taught. So the question is, who taught them? And so so the idea behind this is that this child has been visited by two of his grandmothers or great grandmothers and just has secret knowledge.
I'm gonna give it like 8 spooks out of 10.
Yeah.
Because, like, he doesn't. I mean, first off, he wasn't literate in the first one.
Right.
And, he'd just been asleep. And, like, nobody was in there, like, telling him anything. And, like, she said that, like, nobody had said anything previously. Nobody had ever read it to him.
Mm-hmm.
They're not very religious to begin with. And then he also knows the name of another deceased great-grandparent. And it's like, we don't talk about them.
How did you know?
How did you know about them? So my only explanation is really they spoke to him.
So why not give it 10?
I'm not giving it 10 because, quite frankly, I just want more things to happen.
That's valid. You want more evidence in that case.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 7. And the reason for that is because I'm always wary of parents telling stories about their kids. I guess it goes for any story online, but sometimes you're just like, oh, I just want to like pretend my kid is cool and I want to talk cool stuff about my kid and make up a story. I mean, it sounds very genuine, but you could never be so certain with moms. My kid is as a prodigy And like, you know how like how many parents are like, my kid is the smartest kid. He knows his ABCs. Like, so that's why I'm going to give it a 7 because you never know how much a parent is embellishing.
I think the only child I'm going to be able to interact with is yours.
Whenever that fucking happens.
I'm calling your boyfriend right now and
No.
gonna
God, no.
Look, we need kids.
That-
Emma's really adamant.
That's what this podcast is missing. A child.
Children. You know what's worse than a podcast, guys?
A child.
A child.
All right. So yeah, I'm giving the 7 spooks out of 10 because kids, I don't know, kids are weird. They're on like their own level of existence. You never know what a mom's embellishing, but I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10.
7 whole spook.
I got one more for you.
All right.
This is by user Betty Y1. It's called Heard somebody in my voice reply to my guardians while visiting them. Please help me. IDK anything about paranormal. And the flare is debunk this. So I haven't read this one. And I'm really curious. So let's try really hard to see if we can debunk it, okay? I'm visiting my guardians for a night. I woke up with scratch marks on my neck, but I put it off as I didn't in sleep. I told them I was going to shower here and I was finishing a show. They yelled up the stairs asking if I showered. I said no, but too quiet. I was going to yell it louder, but then I heard it. Somebody in my voice said yeah, and it sounded like it was in the hall. It was my accent perfectly too. I don't know anything about paranormal. My guardians did a religious blessing last week because I had sleep paralysis while napping at their home. While writing this, I've looked out the window and the swing set started going off, but only one swing out of the 3. Then I heard thumping and banging. I put it off as my neighbors doing construction work, though. I've now locked myself in the bathroom with their little dog. He is acting scared and staring. Can somebody help me? I'm sorry if this sounds fake, but please, somebody help me. I have an anxiety disorder and I feel a panic attack coming on. They left to the shops, but I stayed home. Update. The dog is now staring at the bathroom door shaking. Update. I didn't want to say this because it'll look like I'm pushing Christian propaganda, but it all stopped when I held a photo of Christ and said a prayer. I am okay. Now, still replying to comments, I would like to know more on how to stop this and what this even was.
Okay.
That's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here.
All right, so let's go through it like one at a time. Let's hit bullet points.
Yeah, let's go bullet point by bullet point.
So the first thing is a voice that sounded like them called out to their guardians saying, you know, a different response. And it sounded exactly like them and they heard it. That's the first thing. What do you think of that?
But did their parents hear it? We never got any information about that.
That is a good question. Do you think it could just be an auditory hallucination?
Could very well be an auditory hallucination, especially since you have an anxiety disorder already.
Yeah, it very well could be. I wish they mentioned, it would have been nice if they mentioned whether or not their guardians heard the response.
The whole thing is sounding like a panic attack at this as I'm rehashing it in my brain.
I mean, for me, sleep paralysis can happen while napping. Usually, sleep paralysis does happen for me while napping. It happens most frequently for me when I nap, and I get sleep paralysis quite often. I actually had a sleep paralysis bout like within the past week where...
Oh, that's horrifying. I've only ever had it 4 times in my life.
Oh, no, I get them a lot. Like, I get them at least like once a month.
I hated all 4 of them.
For me, what happened was I was really tired. And, you know, it's like maybe like 4:00. I'm in my room. I'm resting. I hear my parents like starting to make dinner. I'm like in and out of consciousness. And I hear my parents in the kitchen starting to make dinner. And I'm thinking to myself, I should get up. I should go help. I shouldn't be sleeping. That's so rude. And I couldn't, you know, get myself out of like that state of half consciousness. And then eventually I was like, no, I should get up. And that's when I was like, oh, I have sleep paralysis. And then I was like, okay, I'm giving up. And I went back to sleep. And I'm looking at and I could see my clock and so I closed my eyes and then like a minute later I opened my eyes again and I'm still having sleep paralysis. And like that happened like a solid like 8 times before I forced myself out of it. I get sleep paralysis a lot.
That's horrible.
But I don't hallucinate. I've never hallucinated during sleep paralysis.
Want to hear about my hallucination?
Yeah, sure.
For my sleep paralysis, I had 3 in one night, and that's where it started to be like, okay, I'm not sleeping tonight anymore. And it's because I kept trying to go back to sleep. So the first one, it was like I couldn't move,
Mm-hmm.
and so I freaked out, and I was like, okay, go back to sleep. Then I heard like whispering,
Ooh.
but I didn't see anything. I didn't
Ooh.
open my eyes. I was scared, and then I wake up. There's nothing around me. Everything's fine. Go back to sleep. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hear screaming.
Oh my god, no wonder yours are so traumatic.
I know. It goes from normal talking to whispering to screaming. And I had a therapist ask me when I told him about this, do you know what language it was in? I was like, no, I was trying my hardest not to understand.
Oof.
Why would I know what language it was?
Obviously it was Swedish.
Yeah, just, oh, they were speaking Swedish.
Yeah.
Like, what? No.
Sleep paralysis for me has obviously never been, supernatural related. The only times that I've had sleep paralysis, I was either in my house, which my house was built by my parents. Like it was a new house. So like nobody had ever died there because it was a new house. So I know for a fact we can't be haunted because nobody's ever died here except for like maybe apparently my parents had a cat when I was like not even a concept. It was like someone else's like family cat or I don't know. So maybe we have a ghost cat too. But
Sleep paralysis is often done by like lack of sleep, sleep deprivation, changing in your schedule,
what really causes it is that
stress.
it's the exhaustion. It's your level of exhaustion compared with how deep of sleep you have. Because like you can be very exhausted and fall asleep easily, but you're not in a deep sleep. And I find that that is when I am most prone to sleep paralysis. So I mean, if this person is like napping at a new place, they could I don't know how long they traveled. I don't know, how tired they were, but the fact that they mentioned napping, it makes a lot of sense that it was just a very shallow sleep, but they were probably very tired, and that's what could have brought on sleep paralysis. That doesn't sound paranormal to me. Maybe that's just because I've had it so much and I know for a fact it's not paranormal for me. So maybe I'm a little biased. But what I really want to talk about is this like thumping and banging and the fact that this dog is acting scared.
Yeah, let's go at that one detail at a time as well.
Just to go over it. So it says, while writing this, I looked out the window and this. Oh, I forgot about the swing. The swing. What about the swing? So like, they looked out the window and only one of the swings was swinging out of three.
Which is creepy
The
and not normal.
the only thing I can think of is that for some reason one of the swings is either lighter or something about it is just like looser or more flimsy. But I mean, that's a stretch, and I
That's a stretch.
I know it's a stretch. I'm trying really hard to think.
Something has to have hit it. Something.
Something. Oh yeah, that's true. Maybe
Something or someone has to have hit the swing.
so. Either a ghost pushed the swing, or a little groundhog just sort of like knocked it with its little head.
Or someone came by, hit the swing, and was making a bunch of noise and being generally just ridiculously obnoxious and loud.
You know what really would like scare me is if the swing started swinging, like just the one started swinging very slowly, and then it started picking up speed. That would scare
That's
me.
creepy.
That would
Yeah.
scare the shit out of me.
That's the creepy, holy shit, someone's actually playing on the swing.
I, I don't know enough about weather and like wind patterns to know if that's a possible
Emma, wind
thing.
patterns don't do that. The wind patterns are much big. No,
Well,
no. This is not a wind pattern.
okay.
If there are two swings and only one swing is swinging, that's
I
not
mean,
a wind pattern.
listen, this person asked us to try to debunk this. I'm doing my best.
That's a really hard stretch. We got to be
I
fair with
know.
it.
I know. I know. And then it was the thing with the dog. So then I heard thumping and banging. I put it off as my neighbors doing construction work. I've now locked myself in the bathroom with my guardian's dog. He's acting scared and staring. And then later on, the update was the dog is now staring at the bathroom door, shaking. So as somebody, I mean, we've both owned a dog at some point in our lives. Dogs don't like loud noises. So I mean, I don't know how loud the thumping and banging was, but it could have just been like
And the fact that
yeah.
you're acting really freaked out mixed with the thumping and
Oh,
banging could
true.
freak out the dog.
That's very true.
I have to take into account that I was also a dog trainer and I have an anxiety disorder as well. And when I started taking my anxiety medicine, the dogs were fine.
So
When the dogs knew I didn't have my medicine, they were not good behaved nice dogs. They were assholes.
So, I mean, for me, I guess the one thing that feels the most paranormal is the swing.
Yeah, the swing is a little bit ahead place.
Um, I guess in terms of when they wound up saying towards the end, but it all stopped when I held up a photo of Christ and said a prayer.
That's where it goes back to the anxiety disorder
That's what I'm
thing
gonna
for
say
me.
is, like, it could have just been, like, a way to calm like, maybe you weren't thinking that this was something to calm yourself down, but it just did. Maybe it was just part of your upbringing and it just, was a comforting thing to say and do that just, like, helped calm you down in the moment.
I don't believe that. I don't believe in the swing.
You don't believe in the swing?
No, I don't believe in the
So
swing.
what do you think the swing was?
If there's nothing else that points to the swing, like there's nothing else that connects the swing into this except for the initial thought of it must be a ghost, a spirit, a creature, something.
Mhm.
There's nothing linking it other
Yeah.
than that one thought that you're trying to have throughout the whole paranormal activity subreddit thread is this is supernatural. This
Mhm.
is paranormal. But if you take that away and just go, okay, so the swing did a weird thing. The rest of it set it on its own. It's like it just feels like just anxiety
Yeah.
to me. I'm just feeling the anxiety vibe.
So someone in the comments said, "Has anything weird happened before your sleep paralysis incident? Have you ever had sleep paralysis before?" And the poster replied, "Paralysis is unrelated. It is from depression or anxiety, both of which I have."
Yeah.
So, I mean,
In the future, it's going to be even harder to determine if things are mental illness or paranormal because there's so much mental illness in the world right now that's being presented.
all of these stories are created by absolutely lovely people. Whether or not we believe in them is just our own opinion. And we thank, the users that do post to r/paranormal that, give us this kind of content. It's so much fun to talk about and discuss and, try to debunk.
It really is a pleasure to hear everybody's stories and try and debunk whether they are true or false, or if it's something we don't even know the answer to, because sometimes we just don't have an answer.
Most of the time, I don't have an answer.
Most of the time, you're Emma.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I wonder what I am when I'm not Emma.
Oh, crap. We'll unpack that later.
But thank you guys so much for listening and have cool experiences and share them. If you guys like what we do and you want to hear more of our content, especially if you're on YouTube, but even if you're on other platforms, showing any kind of engagement will really help get us into the algorithm. Really, at the end of the day, what we want is a community rather than numbers. We hope that you guys will interact with us and give us your thoughts. That to us is much more valuable than views. We have a Discord if you guys are interested in joining, our spooky conversations.
Discord.
You can talk directly to Arthur and I. We are almost always online, especially no matter when you watch an episode. If you're like, yeah, I just watched episode 1. What the hell is going on? Come on in. Water's
Episode
fine.
1, it's 3 a.m. You message. I respond.
So yeah, if you guys have like any questions for Arthur about any of his experiences, or questions for me about my life choices,
Arthur's online most hours of the evening.
feel free to hop into Discord. We opened it up to everybody. Link is in the description. If you can leave a like or a comment or just join the discussion, that would be incredible. Stay spooky, guys.
Stay spooky. Bye-bye.